Let's try that again. I think I was in the wrong group, or I thought I was in the wrong group. Actually, I was in the right group. So, I'm live, hopefully in the Whippet Wonders Facebook group, talking to you about frustration in your Whippets. As always, feel free to comment as I'm going along. Oh, I don't need my sound on. And ask any questions, contribute, or ask me some questions and I can answer them at the end. This will be recorded and then put in the group and on the YouTube channel. I hope your Whippets are enjoying the sun. That's probably where they all are right now, enjoying the sun, a bit of zooming, a bit of sunbathing, hopefully not throwing up like Arkle. So, we are here to not talk about Arkle, we are here to talk about frustration and handling frustration as an emotion in your Whippets. Frustration, my phone's saying a slow connection, is frustrating. Frustration is a big problem, and it can be a problem in Whippets. It's definitely a variable thing. Some Whippets will shut down when they're stressed and just refuse to engage and kind of opt out, whereas some can definitely go into that frustrated mindset. That frustrated mindset could be anything from they are getting yappy with you during training and getting a bit shouty, or it could be they start to get a bit frustrated because maybe there's a dog they want to meet and we're not letting them, or they're getting frustrated because it's mealtime soon, they want that food, we've not given it quick enough. Frustration can be frustrating for us to deal with because it's an emotion that we don't tend to get on with as humans. I always find that I am a lot more patient with my dogs and understanding when their emotion comes from a fear-based level than when it's frustration. So Marley was a dog who was very anxious and very fearful, and nearly all of his behaviours sort of stemmed from that sort of route. And then I had Arthur, and his were very much frustration. And he would shout, he would scream, he would whinge, he would whine, he would do everything. And it's very annoying because when you know it's not fear, it's frustrating. And frustration is an emotion, and we have to accept that it is an emotion that they can't always initially have some control over. A lot of dogs start with, especially if they already are frustrated dogs, they tend to have low frustration tolerance. And what we tend to find is that they are very poor at regulating their emotion and their frustration, and that often gets worse the more we try and remedy it sometimes. So what can cause a lack of frustration tolerance? What can cause frustration is a lack of frustration tolerance. So that is a dog who wants something, they want it now, they don't want to wait. Sometimes they've either just never been taught to tolerate frustration, and I've seen that with a lot of dogs where they don't know how to get something because it's not been made clear to them, so they do a lot of mouthing or shouting or screeching, or alternatively someone has done too much frustration tolerance with them and made them work for too much, and it's annoying if you had to work for everything in life. So it could be from frustration tolerance gone wrong with either no frustration tolerance training or too much frustration tolerance training. It's very difficult to say. It's often from a lack of clarity in the way we train. I often see that quite a lot with dogs, in that someone thinks they're teaching one thing and you're watching them, and it's no wonder the dog doesn't understand it because I'm not sure I understand it, and there's just a lack of clarity on what the dog is doing and what gets them paid, so they get frustrated, they do frustrated related behaviours. What we often find is we see this a lot in teenagers because we almost have two different sets of things we need to be doing for these teenagers, and if we do them slightly wrong, things can tend to go off kilter, and that is we've got two things. We want to add more calmness, but we also want to add outlets for adrenaline that are appropriate, and people tend to either try and swing overtly in one direction without balancing the two out. So often we end up going, right, the dog's hyper, he's shouting at me, he's doing my head in, I'm going to get a ball flinger, I'm going to give him loads of adrenaline inducing activity, and actually that often makes it worse. Or we go the alternate way, which I've seen, which is my dog needs calm, he's not allowed any adrenaline, he's not allowed to do these things. Right, okay, so I'm going to only let him be calm. I'm only going to let him do calm related things. What we want to do is sort of think about the whole picture. We want a dog who has outlets for calm. That means if your dog's barking at the window all day, this is often like a really big trigger for a lot of dogs, and they're getting full of adrenaline. We need to stop them barking at the window. So we're going to put up some window film, or put them in a different room, or find some ways to reduce that stimulus. We're going to add in outlets for calm. Chewing, licking, sniffing. They're not the most exciting things, but for a dog who is easily frustrated, they give them some easy wins. And I think that's important, that the calm activity shouldn't frustrate them more. And I think that's where a lot of people can go wrong when they're trying to add this sort of thing to a dog who is frustrated, is they give them a really difficult like Kong or enrichment item or things like that, and it's really difficult, and they think this will keep my frustrated dog really, really busy, and actually the dog looks at it and goes, this is too hard, I quit. Or they find the whole experience more frustrating. If we've got a dog who struggles with frustration tolerance, we want them to be relatively achievable. I don't think easy, and I don't think hard. I think it should be achievable, and that it then just de-stresses them and decompresses them. So we've got like Kongs, Topples are great. I don't think people use them enough. Toppl. They're great. We could use licky mats, snuffle mats, scatter feeding in the garden, a really good chew to get some frustration out. Things like ostrich bones can be great for that, depending on your dog and their suitability, all of that kind of thing. But they need some calm outlets, but they also then need some outlets for adrenaline. I tend to find with dogs who are frustrated easily. So that is where we can sometimes go a bit wrong. I think dogs need outlets for adrenaline. I don't believe that everything we do with a dog should be about them just being calm. We have a breed that has a need for speed, as it were. And they want to run, they want to chase. They need some outlets for that adrenaline. If we don't give them that, that's where we can tend to see adrenaline-seeking behaviours start to pop up. And adrenaline-seeking behaviours can be lunging at another dog so they react. It can be mouthing at us. It can be a dog who is jumping all over furniture. It can be a dog who's just doing ridiculous things. Where this is often really particularly applicable to teenage dogs, which is where we tend to see a lot of frustration, and we need to give them those outlets. We could, I'm gonna get in trouble with some people here, use a ball launcher. I don't mind people using a ball launcher. Maybe do some sits before it, some touches, some spins, some middles, something engaging with you, and then fling a ball. They get that chase, they get to chase the ball if they like a ball. It's not the worst thing in the world. I just wouldn't be repeatedly flinging. I would just be giving them a nice outlet for adrenaline, moving on, doing a few more throughout the walk. It could be we use a flirt pole, very big stick, bit of rope, toy on the end. They do a bit of chasing it. This is a great outlet because it channels that sight-hand need for chase, and it really is adrenaline inducing to the right kind of dog. So we can do things like that. We can go, if they can't go off lead in public, they can go to a private field and run and chase. And, if there's a couple of you in your household, you can be doing restrained recalls between the two of you, where they're chasing between one of you and running to the other. We want to give them an outlet for being adrenaline-y, because if we don't, they're going to seek it somewhere else, and that's where some of the frustration-related behaviours come from. It's coming from a place of I need an outlet. And the good thing is about giving them an outlet, like adrenaline, frisbee, whatever it is, it depends on your dog. I mean, for Arkle, an adrenaline-inducing outlet is we play fight with a cardboard box in the garden. He loves fighting that cardboard box, wrestling that cardboard box, playing tuggy with that cardboard box. Tuggy is another great one. That's his favourite outlet for his adrenaline. He loves it. I don't know why. He's a little bit weird. I've never had a dog want to fight a cardboard box, but I don't question it. Just let him do it. Shredding is a great outlet. It's a great outlet. So the good thing I was going to say about these adrenaline-inducing activities is we can use them to teach frustration tolerance. So what we can do is we can add in some, again, touches, waiting for eye contact, middle, sending to a bed before we do the fun adrenaline thing. Because then we're getting some control in arousal, and we're getting them learning if they want something, they might have to try and listen and calm and control that frustration. So if we've got a dog who's frustrated, in different situations we might want to look at away from that context, because often we try and do it in that situation, and that situation is just a symptom of the fact that this dog is a bit rubbish with their emotions. Rubbish is very harsh. They lack regulation. I'm thinking about Arthur. He was very rubbish with his emotions. But can we add some calm? Can we add some adrenaline outlets? And then I want to think about, what do training sessions with this dog look like? If I've got a dog who has frustration-related issues, what am I training them? How am I training them? Is my dog vocal during training? Is my dog guessing all the time? Sometimes what happens is when we get a really smart dog, we do loads of training with them, and they start manically offering behaviours rather than listening. And this is a bit of a lack of frustration tolerance again. It's not something as common in Whippets, I will say, but I have seen it. He was like it. And I've worked with a couple of other Whippets like it. It's something I see a lot with Spaniels that are very busy, but it can definitely happen, especially when we train them quite a lot. And it's really cute when they offer these behaviours, but they're not learning what we want. If they've got a frustration-related problem, particularly, they're learning that they should be doing, offering, go. Whereas we want that dog to be calm. So if I've got a dog like that, I'm going to start maybe using lower value treats during training, because they don't need treats that make them that manic. Particularly when I'm around no distractions. If I'm at home training them, I'm maybe going to drop down the reward value. I am going to start rewarding them for being calm between exercises. So I might ask for a sit, and before they offer anything, wait for a moment of calm, treat them for the sit, wait for another moment of calm, treat them, then ask them to do something else like a touch, reward the touch. Don't give them an instruction, wait for another moment of calm, reward. It might be brief moments to start with, but you should find that in the long run they are calm. This is something I did with Arthur a lot as a puppy, because I didn't want the manicness of Arthur, and he's pretty solid to train. God, comparatively he's amazing, because Arthur would just be like, I've done it, and then he would squeal, and then he would offer a behaviour, and then he'd sort of throw his head back, be like, I've done it, feed me. And it was all part of that bigger picture. So what do my training sessions look like? Are they calm? Are they hyper? If I'm training my frustrated related dog, I'm probably going to train them very clearly. I'm going to really tidy up some of my cues if it's a training thing as well, and a general life thing. These are dogs that need a lot of clarity. So I tend to have a few different reward markers. I have a general reward marker, which is usually yes, and that means you've done something good, you're getting a treat. It's very non-specific. It's just the easiest thing 99.9% of the time. Then I have nice, which is remain calm. Food is being delivered to you. It's food delivery service marker for us. And it helps us with a calm, relaxed down. It helps us around dogs for calmness. And it helps your dog understand that being still is part of that marker too. And then I have a get it, and get it is you can go chase the treat. And that again adds that clarity because it's an active marker. You can use any words you want, but essentially I've got a general marker, a calm reward delivery service marker. I feel like that probably isn't what you want to see hitting you in the screen. And then you've got a chase marker. You can have as many markers as you like, but I'm not going to overcomplicate things that much. And that can be very helpful if we've got frustration in training and in real life. If I'm out in real life with a frustrated dog, maybe I'm doing mat work, maybe I want them to remain nice and calm when they see a person passing, and I reward them for disengaging from that person. I'm probably going to use my calm reward marker, my food delivery service marker, say nice, reward them in position. They're a lot less likely to get up than if I go yes, and the dog goes, oh my god, yes, I got a treat. And they get up and they get active and the emotion is sort of in there. I keep sessions short, sweet, and make sure that they're set up for success. And yeah, so that would be what I'd be doing in training. Outside of that, I'd be doing frustration tolerance exercises. My dog is far too asleep to show you those. He has spent his morning coughing up vomit in a Tesco car park, and I'm not inclined to get him throwing up again, I'm afraid. So I won't be waking him up and getting any food. I'm sure I can post some stuff another time. But frustration tolerance exercises are things with self-control with food. Some of you will have seen me in some of my Zooms doing the Zen, Doggy Zen self-control, open handful of treats. He doesn't go for them without a cue. It's all about natural frustration tolerance. I could chuck a handful of treats on the floor. He doesn't go for them unless he is told, okay, now you can go get them. One of my favourite things to work on with frustrated dogs is lots of exercises that teach them calmness and stillness without them thinking it's calmness and stillness, but it actually genuinely is calmness and stillness. So I teach them chin targets, I teach them coin indications like we would use in scent work. I would be teaching them sustained hand touches where they touch the hand and they don't budge it. Things that are sustained like holds with objects, things that are about being still, calm, and not shouting, and they are getting gradually built up and rewarded for those. And those are great frustration tolerance exercises, as well as mat training and calmness, and mat training is free on the YouTube channel. It's one of those things where you could give me a huge long list, you're welcome to, on any specific frustration problems you're having, and do feel free to. But a lot of the time it's about how they are away from that situation and what we are doing with them away from that situation that is going to make the difference in that situation. Behaviour doesn't happen in a vacuum. That's what I'm going with. I feel like we're probably 20-30 minutes in, my brain is starting to go. Still recovering from hospital, everyone. Yeah, it's back on 20 minutes in. Okay, I can talk for 20 minutes straight on my own, and that's just when the brain starts to go. So it's about that situation away from that context as much as anything. And then if they're in a situation where they're frustrated, we have to sort of remember that frustration is an emotion. It's not them deliberately trying to wind us up. It's a case of them being in a place of emotion. And we can find that difficult because it's frustrating for us. Frustration-related behaviours do bug me because I just find them frustrating the way anyone would. I remember when I was out with Arthur, and I used to walk him with Ollie when he was a teenager, my other Whippet, who was quite a bit older than him, when Arthur was overstimulated, overstressed, and overwhelmed, because he was that kind of dog. He was very much living life on the edge. He would start to hump Ollie. When you're walking places with a dog attached to your other dog, it's very frustrating. But the only thing I could do was walk home like this for a few minutes with them separate, and he would calm down. But the problem was there was nothing on that walk I could do to stop him. It was all about Arthur away from that situation. And away from that situation, Arthur didn't sleep enough, he didn't rest enough, he was manic during training, he basically never switched off. And that's what I had to address to stop the problem of him humping Ollie on a walk, or fixating on dogs when he's out, or often these really teenagery behaviours where they've got this adrenaline, they're misusing it. Is frustrating for us, but getting mad at them isn't going to help. And often it's a case of, let's just get through this as easy as we can, reevaluate what can I do better next time, and sometimes it is down to us, but what can I do to set you up so you're a little less frustrated overall. But if you do have any specific questions, you are welcome to ask them. I think I've only got one of you. Facebook algorithms are delightful at the minute. I am going to be finding some other ways to play soon, I think. But if you don't have any... I'll wait a moment, see if you've got any questions. Because last time I hopped off and then a load of questions appeared. And it bugged me. I'm not sure. I've gone on a ramble. We need to look at calmness, look at outlets for adrenaline. We need to be really clear during training. We need to do frustration tolerance training. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be telling me it's a teenage dog. It will all reduce. It will all reduce. They tend to mature a little bit by 18 months and a huge amount by 3. 3 is the magic age in my experience. Vernon is 9 months old. Oh yeah, so that's like if you've not got frustration related behaviours now, oh yeah, you're about to. I was gonna say, yeah. It's like I always think 9 months old is like the exact age most people are like, my dog is frustrated by everything. Mrs. Staub, I'm having trouble with the 1-year-old siblings. One is very frustrated when the other doesn't want to play. Are they? I'm guessing they're littermates. Tell me if I am wrong. I would be reading their play very carefully and probably keeping it short and sweet, because I think littermate, even if they're not littermates, Whippets can get a bit silly in play. I had 3 at once at one point. So I'd be observing their play very carefully, looking for signs that the other one isn't interested. As soon as the other one's not interested, unfortunately, it's our job. We've got to call out the one who's being over the top, and I would be seeing if we can start to redirect them onto something more appropriate. I did a lot of redirecting onto toys with mine, if I could. Yeah, male and female. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that can happen sometimes with littermate. I mean, it can happen with any Whippets. I've seen it, I've lived it. It's great, because if one doesn't want to play, like, you can't force that one to play. Yeah, keep an eye on the play. If we're seeing, to be honest, I wouldn't even wait to see signs that the other one's not wanting to play. I would regularly be practicing calling out of play to the one that gets frustrated, rewarding them for coming out of play, maybe doing some scatter feeding or some touch, or nose bumping, sending them back into play. I can't see the bottom come. Oh yeah. Sending back into play, as long as the other one's happy to play. If they were genuinely happy to play, that's fine. But I would still practice calling out of consensual play, so that it becomes a habit that he or she could do when the other one doesn't want to play. We want to make sure it's a habit, but if one of them doesn't want to play, we're going to have to call the one that is being overplaying out of play, and redirect them onto something else. Whether we just pop them behind the gate, do some scatter feeding with that one, or direct them onto a toy to carry around. They can still then dart about if they're not being too much for the other sibling. I did a lot of work with Arkle as a puppy. Here's a toy, you can carry that. And he would run around and go, yeah, look everyone, I've got a toy. My dogs were old, they didn't care. But it stopped him jumping on their neck and biting their neck. Just activate the toy along the floor a little bit, or offer something else. But we definitely don't want the other one having to just put up with it. I would be doing a lot of recall out of consensual play when they're consensually playing, so it becomes a habit, and then we can call out of play when she's had enough. Oh, he's had enough. I don't know which way around it is, and I'm getting in a muddle. I hope that helps a little bit. I did do a post the other day. It might not be relevant, but I did teach all mine the take it outside cue, which you could probably teach just for him as well, or her, or whichever way around it is. Sorry, I'm going to keep saying him just for the sake of my brain, or I'm going to get in a muddle. If it's him and he's overplaying, we could say take it outside, chuck a toy outside, or scatter some food, and then eventually you could just say outside. I just like take it outside. Makes me feel less likely to shout it when I'm frustrated. Take it outside sounds a bit nicer. If they take it outside, they'd run to the back door, they'd all go outside. You could just teach that to him if you needed to, because then it's really easy it's like a location specific, like marker almost. Fabulous. That's great. Vernon's big sister is I like the idea, he's big. She's big, is a mini Duxie, and he can be brutal when he wants to play with it. Yeah, same sort of thing. Though I imagine, I guess it depends on the Daxie. I can imagine they can be pretty playful when they want to be. Depends on their mood, doesn't it? I've worked with a lot of Daxies in Lincoln over the years. They're quite big characters, like Whippets. big characters in very, very small little bodies. So, any more questions? This will be recorded, so after this ends, this will go back into the group. You might need to come like into the group to specifically find it, but it should be there. Then I think it's on my to-do list tomorrow to pop it onto the YouTube channel, and then it's always there, because Facebook have decided in their infinite wisdom they're going to remove lives after 30 days, so I gotta have somewhere to put them, which is why I like the YouTube channel. So feel free to go look at the YouTube channel. You might find some helpful stuff for some of the stuff that you've asked about on there. There is a lot of information on the YouTube channel, and like training videos and different activities. Oh, hang on, I've got one more question. I need to do vocalization when frustrated. Oh god, that's a whole fun thing, isn't it? Are we just in... Oh, it's a really difficult one. I could probably do a whole live on that. I don't like ignoring frustrated vocalization when they just want something, because if they're frustrated kind of dogs, we accidentally sometimes teach them stamina. I mean, it's what I first tried with him. It's what I tried with my Jack Russell years ago. The whole advice was to ignore them. I just found it taught them stamina, and they could just whinge for longer, because eventually you crack, whether it's you go, oh my god, stop doing that, or you look at them, or you do something and they go, oh, I could do it for 5 minutes now, 10 minutes now, 30 minutes now, 60 minutes now. I think I would... barks at the cat who refuses to play. I would teach an attention noise, so I go into the YouTube channel and teach an attention noise, which I'll probably try and put a link to in the group, which is why I'm making a note, because I'll forget as soon as I'm off. Teach an attention noise, which isn't anything aversive. We would just be something like, or a word like hey, and that just verbally interrupts them, and then again redirect them either onto something more appropriate or ask them to do something more appropriate. So if we're doing it, the cat who refuses to play, let's say, you know, and then good boy for looking at me and directing away from the cat, because if we're barking at a cat who is not wanting to play, it's not, he's attention seeking with you, so he's definitely not getting that as a reward or anything. And then let's redirect him onto something he can play with. Get something out of the toy box, or give him something else to do, or just start to praise him for not barking at the cat. Like over praise when the cat doesn't want to play, he doesn't react back, or the cat will scratch. Well, I don't have cats, so I always assume that some people think, well, if the cat scratches, that's going to teach them, but I don't think it does a lot of the time. I don't know. I'm not going to comment too much on cat to dog relationships and pretend I know what I'm talking about, because I'll probably not be very helpful. But I would probably verbally teach an attention noise, and in a few different situations I would be teaching an attention noise and then directing onto something else. If they're going to be a bit ridiculous, I might get up and leave the room if it was for attention-seeking purposes. That is my preference, is to guess, I'm reading things and talking, is to get up and leave the room if it's... That can work for quite a lot of behaviours, to be honest. I used it quite a lot. I just get up, leave the room, don't say anything, shut the door. Usually we realise that is not going to get the thing we want. And that can work with some frustration-related behaviours. If every time they bark for something and I get up and leave, that can help quite a bit. But in general, yeah. We're doing a lot of training away from the situation. Make sure we're praising the behaviours we do like. So lots of praise for nice behaviours around each other, even if that's another dog and the other dog doesn't want to play and they're sort of working it out and they're thinking about, oh, should I start shouting? You call them away, you praise them loads. Super. Do we have... I'll let you see... I told you 20 minutes in, my brain's gone. We must be about 30 now. Yeah, my ability to speak is a pretty good gauge of time. So you can go on the YouTube channel, check that out. There's lots of stuff on there. I have a little sale on the website. If you're looking at any courses or anything, I have 25% off quite a few things until tomorrow. If you ever need any tailored help, do give me a shout. I do one-to-ones. I do everything with Whippets. I do packages, reactivity, puppies, a little bit of everything, but I'm going to try and do 1 to 2 of these lives in the group a month, just to help out with anything. Feel free to ask any questions in the group if you're looking for a wider audience as well. If you want a few people's input, that is always helpful too. Otherwise, I think my brain has gone. It's gone. I'm still a little bit ill, everyone. So I'm gonna go. Yeah, my brain's gone. I hope you enjoyed the live. I hope that it was helpful for some of you. Keep me updated with how you get on. If you did ask me any questions, post in the group if they help. Otherwise, enjoy the sun. There's still some of it there. At least there is here. You can see it poking through. Enjoy your weekend. And yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for getting involved. I'm sure I will see some of you again soon. Thank you.